Welcome to the Internet History Podcast. I'm your host, Brian McCullough. So, it's been several weeks without a new episode, and I'm going to apologize for that right now, even though I'm sure if you could talk back to me through the headphones, you'd say, no big deal, Brian, don't sweat it. But I gotta admit, I feel great agita when I miss a week. Especially if it's been several weeks in a row that I don't release a new episode, because I myself am a huge podcast listener, and I really come to rely on them to get me through the week. Like I'd be devastated if there was not a new Comedy Bang Bang this Monday morning, or if there were no Greatest Generation pods that dropped this week. But the vicissitudes of scheduling and booking are what they are. I'm at the mercy of other people's calendars, as you know. So as an example, I have about 9 people that have made varying degrees of commitment to coming on the show and recording an episode. But, you know, this one couldn't do it until next week. That one couldn't do it till next month. Somebody needed to call me, when they knew they'd have some time freeing up. So I'll admit, I also got lazy because a couple months ago I had a backlog of about 6 weeks of guests already in the bag and recorded, and I thought, great, that's more than a month that I can, just focus on writing the book every day, and I don't have to take a day or two off to do, a deep dive research into, this person or that company. And I kind of, luxuriated in that. And then by the time I got around to trying to book people again, I had gotten started too late. So unless my scheduled recording this week falls through, we're definitely going to have a great new episode dropping next week. And like I said, I think we have several great people coming down the pike all summer long, so it should be great. Now, a while ago, when I had a similar gap in episodes, I put up what I called a book club episode, just to give you all something to keep busy with, so that you could continue learning about internet history while you waited for me to get my act together. So I thought I'd do another one of those, but this is going to actually be more than just recommending books. It's also going to be an interview, and it's also going to be recommending a great podcast for you to check out. This week I was at the DLD conference in New York, and I met Nathan Latka, who is the host of the Top Entrepreneurs podcast, which is very popular. Every single day, Nathan interviews entrepreneurs from companies in various stages of the growth or startup life cycle. And his shows, they're great. They're quick. They're hard-hitting episodes. I think I would describe it this way, and maybe Nathan would agree. If you want highly caffeinated, sharp, and incisive insights from a range of different entrepreneurs, I really can't recommend the Top Entrepreneurs podcast highly enough. So I was commiserating with Nathan about doing podcasting, about booking and scheduling guests, and I mentioned to him my looming 3-week gap in episodes, and he was kind enough to say, hey, I'm going to be in town for a few days, so let's just get together and record something. Let's just talk. We can find something interesting to talk about. So Nathan was kind enough to pop into TED, and we did that. We sat down, and in this brief episode, Nathan will tell us about himself. He has his own interesting entrepreneurial background, tells us about his pod, and also recommends some books. I recommend a couple as well. And there are links to all the recommendations in the show notes. They're Amazon affiliate links, by the way. So if something sounds interesting to you and you want to check it out, click through and buy from the links so that I can get a few shekels to help me buy more books for research purposes. But yeah, so here are some interesting books to check out. A great podcast to check out. An introduction to Nathan Latka, who, by the way, will also have a book of his own coming out soon. Sorry again about the gap in episodes. You can always follow on Twitter at NetHistoryPod. That's where I auto-post when new episodes actually go live. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this a lot, but we do have a Facebook page for the podcast. It's facebook.com/Internet History Podcast, all one word. If you like or follow us on there, then you're guaranteed to know when a new episode drops right in your newsfeed when it happens, because we auto-post there too. So, okay, until next week, please enjoy Nathan Latka and check out his Top Entrepreneurs podcast. Oh, one more interesting or embarrassing detail. This marks the first time that I have ever recorded an entire interview and then realized that I had not actually hit the record button. So I'm going to leave the very beginning part of this episode unedited, as you'll hear me hit record. Nathan and I realized that our previous 10-minute conversation had not been captured, and then we do it all over again. So a little peek behind the curtain, if you will, and the either embarrassing or endearing realities of podcasting. All right. Because I was explaining everything to you, and I didn't do my normal... I knew that would happen to me someday.
Hey, it's good it's with me, someone who's not going to care, right?
Well, I hope you don't care, but I apologize anyway.
That's okay.
All right, 3, 2... I bring up my notes again so I get the hey-yo, all that stuff. All right.
Did you still hear it through the...
I hear it, yeah. That's the problem, is that I usually do a check. I manually check throughout the whole thing, but then you and I got lost in talking.
Conversation, yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Nathan Latka, thanks for coming on the Internet History Podcast.
Thank you, Brian. This was quick. We just met yesterday.
Yes, and you were kind enough to come in and contribute to a nice book recommendation episode. People love them more than I would think, even though they're excuses because I haven't had content for them. But so Nathan, we met yesterday. You have a great podcast, and I thought this is a podcast that my audience would love.
Why do you think that they would love it? Because I always thought your audience is more creative, less business focused.
Yeah, but I think that it's a lot of tech people that are coming to learn the history of previous companies, to help them, to educate them about what works and what doesn't, and to think about the future by looking at the past.
Yeah.
So your podcast is The Top Entrepreneurs.
Yep.
You've got about 650 episodes. You do them every weekday, which is insanely more
every
than
day, weekends too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, since I only listened to 6 already.
Well, that's impressive because it's only been 24 hours since we met. Tell us real quick, why'd you listen to 6?
Because they're nice, fast-paced hits. You're a fast-paced guy.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to entrepreneurs, you get in, you find out what the company does, what its status is, where it is in its life cycle, and you hit people about numbers.
Yeah, I mean, some people, they say I'm rude. I'll ask the CEO what they pay themselves. I'll ask them what their last valuation was, how much money they're making last month, their customer counts, everything.
What's your revenue run rate? Are you going to raise another round? That sort of thing.
Yep.
So it's if you're looking for a daily hit of
dopamine,
of talking to entrepreneurs in the midst of building projects and companies, it's a great podcast.
Yeah, it's The Top Entrepreneurs. Happy to have your folks come check it out.
Real quickly, how do you do it once a day?
Well, yeah, so there's a lot of batching that happens. I mean, we talked about this a little bit beforehand, but I sit down in one sitting and I'll use a tool called, you can go to nathanlatka.com/schedule. You'll actually see how I use the tool that lets me batch meetings without having to go back and forth a ton via email. And so I'll do 20 or 15 to 20 episodes in one sitting. Mm-hmm. And I'll just be chugging Red Bull and Organifi juice and keeping my energy level high. And then I forget about it for 2-3 months.
Your energy level, it seems to be naturally high, but...
Do you like that?
Yeah. Well,
you saw me speak on stage yesterday, so you know the energy just
Right.
comes out.
So I met Nathan at the DLD conference yesterday, where he interviewed the
Dominic, the CEO of HelloFresh.
HelloFresh.
They're
Right.
they're the fastest growing company, except Uber. They've raised $350 million. I bet they go public in the next year or two.
And also recently a podcaster's best friend in terms of advertising on every podcast
Are they
I listen
spending
to.
a bunch?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
At least all the Earwolf shows and the Maximum Fun Network. They're all over the Maximum Fun.
Had
podcast.
no idea.
So real briefly, you're an entrepreneur yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
Just turned 20. Well, 27 now.
So
Yep.
you founded your company when?
I was architecture at Virginia Tech, so I would have founding year would have been 2010 or 2011 when I was about 19. And that thing grew. We raised $2.5 million of venture capital, built it over 6 years. It was called Heyo.com, Heyo. Sold it to our number one competitor, and by creating an unbelievable bidding war. In fact, I recorded. I don't know. I told you this. I recorded the negotiation of me selling the company on my podcast. I released the whole negotiation, so you hear me bidding other potential buyers against each other. You hear me talking about price. One of them at the end just hangs up on me and never talks to me again. But
and those are in the archives?
Yeah, they're in the archives. You can just Google Nathan Latka sold Heyo, and those archives will pop up.
Huh.
Yeah.
So and Heyo was a you said software as a service for.
That's right, software as a service, and we helped companies like it's basically a Wix or a Weebly or a WordPress drag and drop together websites, except for Facebook fan page apps.
Pages.
Yeah.
Right. So 2009 would be the right time for
Yep.
that sort of thing. And you sold that, and then you do the podcast today. Why?
Well, we were joking about this. I mean, I wish nobody listened to the show because I get so much valuable data from it. Sometimes I buy the companies that come on my show because I get so much data, and I'll offer them live, and boom, we do a great deal. Other times it blows up in my face, but that's fine. But I get all the data. And the only reason I really did it as a podcast and started publishing all these files was because I realized I can make a lot of money with it in terms of sponsors. People wanted it, so that's why I did it. Like you said, we're 650 episodes in. I don't think there's another single resource online that has actual financial data on companies. Now you have companies, like Mattermark or Crunchbase or CV Insights. They do a great job scraping the web for general information, but nowhere else will you be able to click and see a company saying we have 3,126 customers that pay an average of $33 per month, and our revenue last month was this month, and the CEO pays himself $150,000, and our last valuation was $22 million pre-money, $29 million post-money, right? Directly from the source. This isn't like extrapolated data. So it's doing very, very well. We just passed about 4.5 million downloads.
So you're basically doing this to educate yourself.
Correct.
And then the audience is just benefiting along with you.
Whether it's good or bad, they're along for the ride. But people are, you mentioned you listened to 6 episodes. People are really binging on it. It's a lot of fun.
Are you going to do, is your intention to do another startup someday?
So again, I'm buying some companies on the show. And so one of them I bought is www.thetopinbox.com. It's a Gmail plugin you can use to send emails, to schedule them to go later, see if your emails get opened. It's very effective. Yes, I'm actively building companies. I'm looking at buying companies. Random House just bought my book deal, so that'll be coming out. You have a book coming out by, you said Norton, right?
Yep.
In about a year?
Hopefully a year from now, so summer of 2018.
Yeah, so it's working well.
Well, I definitely recommend if you're a fan of this show or if you're a fan of startup stories, technology, the top entrepreneurs, iTunes, Google Store, all that stuff.
Boom.
Nathan, thanks for coming on.
You want to talk books real quick? We have time.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. Okay, on your show,
Yep.
You have a quick top 5 or 5 questions at the end, and
By the way, only if you want to. If you have to go, it's totally fine.
No.
Okay, good.
No, and also you're so kind. You're doing me the favor here. Yes, when I miss a lot of episodes, I tend to use this
Book club fallback.
Book club fallback. So give me 2. Give me the book you're reading now, and then the book maybe that was the most influential to your career or to you personally.
Got it. Yeah. So I would say the book today that I'm reading today I'm just finishing up. It's called Storming the Magic Kingdom, and it's a fascinating story of back in 1984 when some private equity guys valued Walt Disney's company and the real estate assets that it owned at more than what its stock price was. So
And that was before the renaissance of
Carl Icahn,
well,
private equity.
no, but also I'm thinking of Disney before the Little Mermaid and all that
yes.
stuff. In the people forget in the early '80s, Disney was kind of a morbid company.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. So these private equity guys, basically, the Bass brothers down in Texas, made a run on Disney, and Disney ended up fighting it with greenmail and some other tactics. But it's a fascinating story because you have two huge animals going against each other: capitalism in the form of the private equity guys, and creativity in the form of Walt Disney. And watching them battle with their each of them have their unique leverage points and toolboxes, and watching, obviously we know the answer of who wins, but it's a fascinating story. By the way, this still happens today when people look at Disney. They try and value the real estate versus the content and the content, stuff, but I think they're probably in good hands today. It's a great book, though.
And I don't know if you know, but Mark Andreessen always talks about the biography of Walt Disney. Again, I'm not.
That one's a big one.
Right.
700 pages.
I've read it, and it is one of the best founder biographies.
I would agree.
Entrepreneur. The most influential book. On your life.
Yeah, that one's tough because I read so much, but I'm a big fan of utility, and I would say that the one that's actually helped me the most utility-wise is called Unconventional Success. A guy named David Swenson wrote it. He runs Yale's endowment, which it's the highest performing endowment. I think he's taken it from about $2 billion in assets under management to something like 20. And so what I do is, let's say I'm worth $100 million. I follow his portfolio. So I'll take 50% of my net worth pie and put 20% towards starting new businesses, 30% towards investing in my already current businesses. And the rest of the 50%, I will follow his asset allocation model, which includes things like exposing yourself 30% to domestic stocks, another 20% in real estate, 15% in treasury inflation protected stocks to hedge inflation, treasury bonds. Then there's 4 in emerging markets and 4 in developed markets. Those are the 6 asset classes. And so that's been very practical for me, helping me manage downside risk with sure income and dividends and stuff, but also keeping part of my net worth in the very risky profile, because like you, as entrepreneurs, we make the most money when we bet on ourselves.
Well, here's my recommendation that I was going to give to people today, and I'll give to you also. So I just finished the chapter on the history of blogging. I did it
for your book, right?
For my book.
What's your title, by the way? You haven't said it.
How the Internet Happens.
Yeah.
Happened.
Happened.
So I rolled the story of Google getting an actual business model together with AdWords into AdSense. I rolled the story of AdSense into creating an ecosystem on the web for the long tail, and then I rolled that into the story of blogs, which I thought would be an easy 10 or so pages to write, because I lived that shit. I remember going on.
How old are you now, today?
39.
39,
So yeah,
okay.
Listen, I was a huge. I remember when Kottke was a tiny site that no one ever knew about.
I have no idea what that is.
Kottke.org. He's based here in New York.
I was still in my mother's womb, I think.
he was a huge blogger. Even in like '99, people knew of him, but it's still a huge blog today. But so I thought it was going to be an easy chapter to write. I said on Twitter, I lived this. How can this be hard? It was so hard. But the book that a lot of that chapter will be based on is called Say Everything by Scott Rosenberg. And basically, if you want the story of where did blogging come from, like the first guy, Justin Hall, back in '94, who basically was the first guy to like live his life online on his personal homepage, all the way through like Drudge and the Drudge Report, all the way into Gawker and Huffington Post and things like BuzzFeed today. Say Everything is I would say, definitive history of blogging as a medium, and basically how we learned to live and share ourselves online.
And what are you reading right now?
Well, I'm reading 5 different books for my research.
What is this? Wikipedia
This one's the Wikipedia revolution, because now I'm rolling into the next chapter. It's about how the web in Web 2.0 is all about all of us creating the material. And so the biggest exemplar of that is obviously Wikipedia, which I do again.
So the forward there is from Jimmy Wales, right?
Yeah, right. So this is basically the story of Wikipedia, and also Walter Isaacson's book has a great chapter on that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is me researching.
Which Walter Isaacson book?
The Innovators.
Got it.
Yeah. But you want to know what I'm really reading now? Just
what?
Because I've been having to read so much to finish this book. Like, I've got 400 books in my office, all on the internet, right? that for years and years and years, I'd only read histories. I haven't read fiction in like a decade. Because I need a break from this sort of reading.
Heavy research-oriented.
Trashy sci-fi. There's a series called The Expanse, which also has a great TV show
I
on
thought
the
you were
Sci-Fi
going to say
Network.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Trashy sci-fi. It's because it's. I mean, it's.
What's trashy mean? Trashy sci-fi.
It's not really well thought through.
Oh, you mean bad storylines, not like celebrity trash.
Right.
Not like Atlanta Housewives.
No. It's science fiction.
By the way, no hurt there, dude. You know.
Right.
I don't want.
And by the way,
I'm
using the word trashy, but I love the show and I love the books. There's about 6 of them so far.
Let's call it unstructured sci-fi.
Let's just say their plot devices are a little thin sometimes.
There we go.
But
Very diplomatic.
The overall story is great. So that's actually what I'm personally reading right now. Okay, Nathan, I know you have a heart out. Thank you so much for just coming in. And again, everybody that listens to this show, I think, would love your show. So
I hope they enjoy it. Yeah, if you guys come over there, I give out my phone number. It's called the Top Entrepreneurs. It's basically just daily numbers about companies, whether they're about to go public or just starting out. And if you go subscribe and shoot me a text, I will send you guys actually the pitch deck I used to raise my first $2.5 million, which is very revealing. There are some surprises in there. Just text me 703-431-2709. Go subscribe now. This was a shorter episode, so you have some time to go listen to some more content.
Exactly. Thanks, Nathan.